Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and are having a flare-free day. Thanks so much for coming to my channel today. I was on my laptop this morning and I was scrolling through news and I was stopped in my tracks when I saw a news article that had outlined new research linking tampons to harmful chemicals and toxins, including arsenic and lead. I don't know if I was shocked necessarily when I heard that, because in my mind I'm like, well, of course these products have chemicals in them, because when menstruators are involved, people just, I find, turn a blind eye and they're like, oh, it's like a menstruator problem, or they can deal with it later, or who cares about their body because we just don't invest enough research and funding. I could go on because over time I just have become more frustrated at the period product market and just the blind eye that is turned towards menstruators in society. Either we're not allowed to talk about periods because it's taboo and like, whoa, that's too much for us to talk about, or the products that we use to support us monthly are riddled with toxins. And when we raise these concerns or research is conducted, and you'll find out with this study, which made me more angry, was that the recommendations aren't there. Yes, we found toxins in these products, but there's no recommendations on what to do next or what other options are available. The concerning thing for me when I read through this article, and I'll talk a bit through what was found in it, was that both organic and non-organic products had aspects of chemicals within them, including arsenic and lead. So it's a bit concerning when you're like, well, maybe I'll just lean towards the organic side of products because that's a healthier option, when in fact it may be also including toxins that we don't know about. So that's part of the concern that I have, is that when there is an issue, there's no real recommendation for menstruators, and it's like, well, just keep an eye out for more research. But it's like, well, how do we protect our bodies in the meantime when this research is obviously going to be lagged because it's a menstruator issue, and two, like, there's no real solid recommendation for us to move forward. So I'm just frustrated this morning. I'm just like, of course, this would be a topic that is more about here's what to know about toxins, but here's no recommendations on how to move forward and to protect your body from them. I'm gonna read through this article a little bit today, provide some insights on what I found, but I do have my own recommendations on next steps, on like better regulations, better labeling, things like that. So if you're interested to learn more about this study that came out, more North America, UK based, then feel free to keep on listening. So the average menstruating person over the course of 5 years will use approximately 11,000 tampons, pads, panty liners, or other menstrual products. But knowing that some of these products, including tampons, can include toxins and harmful chemicals like lead and arsenic, is somewhat concerning to someone that uses them on a monthly basis. This article that I found this morning, and I'll link it down below, outlined that past research, which is 2022 research, and I'll post that link down below as well, had found that tampons and other menstrual products contained chemicals. So a lot of these chemicals are known as PFAAs, as well as plasticizers. All of the chemical groups that the research found in menstrual products, I'll list here. But all of these chemicals have been known to impact the endocrine system, which basically regulates sexual development, metabolism, blood sugar, mood, sleep, and so much more. I feel like I'm like whipping this thing around. Let me just put this down for a second. Recently, a small pilot study, and this is what the article that I found this morning was referring. A small pilot study focused on tampons, and they found that both non-organic and organic products had traces of toxic chemicals. They outlined in this study that while the amounts of these toxins were small, even though it's a small amount of toxins found in these products, there's no safe amount of exposure to lead, according to the US Environmental Protection Agency. The issue with this study is that they only focused on the product itself. So they looked at a tampon, for instance, and they said, wow, this specific product has small levels of toxic chemicals within it, including lead and arsenic. What they still don't know with this research is whether the toxins that are found specifically in this product emit toxins and enter into the body. So they don't have that research yet on whether it impacts or leaches into the body. The article, and I'll read the specific statement here, says, I don't want people to panic, but to be aware that heavy metals have been found in these menstrual products. Obviously, the next step is to do research that would show if the metals leach from the tampon into the body. The study was also unable to see if the toxins found in these products were able to be absorbed by the vaginal lining and subsequently into our bloodstream. In the article, a spokesperson from the US Food and Drug Administration had outlined that more research is obviously going to be undertaken to see if that was the case, if toxins were being, absorbed by the vaginal lining and into our bloodstream. Vaginal tissue is very fragile in basic terms. And so if we do find out that toxins or heavy chemicals can be absorbed by vaginal lining and ultimately enter our bloodstream, it can be a significant issue. Some spokespeople that are highlighting this research and are not part of the pilot study at all, but are just speaking on it, have outlined that they are concerned with the use of products that are inserted internally. Another quote is, "There's no reason for people to be afraid to use menstrual products at this time. I would just be aware of the issue and monitor any research that develops." This is where my frustration lies, because you provide menstruators and the general public with this knowledge that harmful chemicals and toxins have been found in these products, some products, I should say. And that's wonderful and that's important information to have. But what's frustrating to me is that there's no next steps. Okay, so we wait for research. So in the meantime, what do we do? How do we protect our bodies from these harmful chemicals? Are we supposed to not use tampons anymore? Are we not supposed to use certain products anymore? Certain brands anymore? What are the next steps and tangible things that we should be doing as consumers to protect ourselves and our bodies? And this is where I get frustrated with society around taboo topics like periods, because we're scared to talk about it more. We're scared to provide information that's helpful for menstruators because I feel like it's like a menstruator problem. If that's fair to say, I feel like this is where I'm just mad. I'm just like, this is case in point, 2024, why we are still having issues around taboo topics and periods, because it's normal and natural and happens to like majority of the population, but still we're scared to talk about how to protect those people who menstruate from these harmful toxic chemicals in the products that we are supposed to use every month. A small pilot study looked at 30 tampons from 14 brands across the United States, United Kingdom, and Greece. So they didn't know which brand was associated with each tampon. Basically, it would be like 30 of these blank tampons on a table. They didn't know who belonged to who. On average, so based on the 30 tampons that were put on that table, the average was that there were 100 nanograms per gram of lead, 2 nanograms per gram of arsenic. A good sign of this study was that there was no detectable trace of mercury or chromium. Organic tampons, which I found to be kind of shocking in this study, contained higher levels of arsenic, whereas the non-organic tampons had higher levels of lead. The average lead concentration in these tampons on average was 10 times higher than the maximum levels currently allowed in drinking water. Researchers in the study highlighted that there is no level of arsenic that should be detectable in tampons ever. So there shouldn't be arsenic in the products that we use. And they still don't know the impacts that arsenic has on the vaginal lining. And as a reminder, there is no safe level of lead exposure. Lead exposure has been shown to impact reproductive health. Researchers, and thank goodness they asked this, was how can then we detect levels of arsenic and lead if these are not supposed to be in products like tampons? First, they outlined that tampons, or most tampons, are made from cotton, or a mixture of cotton and rayon. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'll put it here. Basically a semi-synthetic fiber that is used to weave in with the cotton and is often made from wood pulp. Arsenic is a natural element that is found in soil, water, and air, while lead and other heavy metals are often found in Earth's crust. So plants can easily absorb these metals once they start to grow. Soil can also be contaminated in industrial countries, focusing on facilities, factories, mines, manufacturing plants, can be contaminated by metals and chemicals found nearby these facilities. They have a subheading on the article that says how to protect ourselves. And when I was reading this, I was like, okay, finally, this is how they're gonna tell us, the menstruators who are reading this or gaining this information, on how to protect our bodies from these harmful chemicals. They outline that tampon makers and FDA recommends that individuals should not wear tampons or any menstrual products that are inserted overnight or longer than 8 hours due to the risk of developing toxic shock syndrome, which can be a fatal bacterial infection. They outline the advice also pertains to individuals that are worried about the heavy chemicals found in tampons or other menstrual products. They outline, because the vaginal microbiome, including menstrual fluid, is the least understood organ system in the body, real-world advice on the use of period products based on these findings is premature to say the least. What do we do with that? Other recommendations include, this is the kicker that got me. They say other recommendations based on these studies is to wash your hands before inserting or taking out menstrual products, because that's going to help us from the harmful chemicals that are found in them. Changing tampons every 4 to 8 hours and using the lowest absorbency possible. If you can wear one tampon up to 8 hours without changing it, the absorbency may be too high. This is not recommendations on what to do with the chemical use. This is recommendations on how to use a tampon properly. So they're basically outlining, this is what you should do to wear the period product normally. This should be found at the back of the labeling on a tampon product or a box that we find in Walmart or a shopping center. This is not advice to support us based on the research found on chemicals found in the product. What are researchers going to do? What is the next research going to focus on? Is it the vaginal microbiome on how absorbency happens? Well, yes, I think they've outlined that that's maybe a next step, but what should we be doing? It's obviously, people are now nervous to use these products. At least when I'm reading this, I'm like, well, okay, I'm nervous to use these products now. What are my next steps? What do I do? And it's not about how to wear it properly. I've been doing that for years. I figured that out a long time ago. Thank you, article. But it's frustrating because I'm like, there was the subheading of this article section is how to protect yourself. It's not how to use a tampon. This is where I get frustrated again on everything related to this topic. I feel like I've typically come on here very composed and very like straight to the point. This is the research. Don't really put my personal say on it. I'll say, you know, this is obviously great information. Talk to your doctor if you have any new or changing recurring symptoms. And the same goes with this. But I am frustrated today, and you could probably tell. So things that I wish to protect ourselves. Obviously, there needs to be more funding from governments in Canada, federally and provincially, on regulations on how chemicals get into these products. Regulations are not good right now, obviously, because there's harmful chemicals and toxins that are found in these products and continue to be found in these products. If there was a research study found in 2022, and here we are in 2024 with another study, obviously things are not changing in a fast manner to protect consumers from toxic chemicals that can be impacting chronic conditions, chronic diseases, and our reproductive health. So number one, my recommendation is that government, you have to get involved with regulation of these products to protect consumers. My next recommendation would be to do third-party testing. The issue I think with this is that companies are afraid to spend money. The less money that they can spend, I think the better for them. But third-party testing, especially when these chemicals are involved, third parties should be testing these products before they go onto market for the consumer to certify and verify that toxic chemicals are untraceable. I hope that the research after that small pilot study was conducted, that the companies that were involved with the study were notified, and I'm assuming that they were, but I hope that these companies are transparent with what the research showed and that they are transparent in their labeling of products that go out to the market, to the consumer. They should have to disclose and be transparent about the levels of chemicals that are found in their products. They should provide a full list of those chemicals on their packaging so that consumers can make an informed decision on whether they want to use those products or not. I think a normal next recommendation for me would be to develop safer products. If we're noticing a trend from both 2022 to 2024, and I'm assuming previously to that what we're doing currently with the production and manufacturing of these products is not working and we're still getting traces of toxic chemicals, I think it's time to develop safer alternatives and to go back to the drawing board on how we can change the way we do things. I think obviously that's like a lot of work and a lot of money to be spent, but wouldn't that be money well spent to be that company that comes first on the market and say, listen, we're changing the way that things have been done. We are listening to the consumer that we want to protect and support and are in business for, and we're gonna be the leading product on the market that does this testing, does things a different way, confirms that there's no traceable levels of these toxins, and is in place to support the majority of the population who menstruates. I would want to be that company. I would love to say, listen, this is what we're doing. So I think developing safer alternatives is the next best bet for all of those menstruating product companies out there. I think consumer-wise, it's important to research brands. And if you research the brand and they're transparent with their production and manufacturing and the listing of ingredients and potential harm that can be like associated with their product, I think that's important. I think you should do your research and be on board with the company that you are investing your money and your health in. Love to know down below if you have companies that you lean towards when it comes to your menstrual products that you know are like 100% on board with this trajectory of creating chemical-free or just safer, friendlier period product options. I think it's important for us to share that information and knowledge. And if you're a company out there that has tampons or period products on your roster, I encourage you and I challenge you to be the next best company, to listen to this research and to dive in and to spend the money where it's needed to be safe and friendly for your consumers and the people that you want to support. That's my challenge to you, because obviously things need to change and it's not happening right now. So be the change that you want to see, I guess, company. Moral of the story is, I hope you're all doing well. I don't even know how to end this video, but just research the product that you use. Just make sure that you see this as more of an informative video for news and research that has come down the pipes. I wanted to share it. I didn't want to keep it to myself. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to you on the next one with hopefully better news about menstrual products and period society as a whole.